Ready for prelims? Writing this year? 5th June? Good. So, I have designed this topic under 3 parts. One is my topic, that is history. Which area you should focus more based on last 10-year trend? You're getting this point? Second, from where? Now you have just less than 30 days. So what you can do in that 25, 26 days, whatever you studied, but from where you can revise. Third, on that day, that is D day, what you must do, what you should avoid. And that would be related to not only history, but overall GS minus CSAT. So based on all our experiences, those who make it, like in my university, we have around 250 students preparing for civil service every year in Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, where I am teaching and looking also their other aspects. So out of 250, 110 clear prelims every year since last 7 years. So the ratio is, you can see, more than 40%. Now there are institutions, of course, all over India where you can see out of 100, maybe 5, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe nil. Depends upon batches, depends upon how you were focused in those days and what you studied, because the quality of materials matters a lot. Maybe you have given your best, but you didn't get what was needed in terms of both quality and quantity. Now, in Indian history, as you know, there are 4 major areas, if I conventionally divide, from where they are asking questions in prelims. Firstly, you tell me, do you have any idea out of 100 questions, how many they are asking on an average, history and culture, right? Put together, because culture is not a separate part, it is a part of history. It's only a marketing strategy of some coaching institutions that they started teaching separately. Otherwise, like in our university and many other places, the department itself called history and culture. And all the part of art, architecture, music, dance, literature is an integral part of history. So just for the logistic reasons in the coaching institutions, they may be teaching separately. Otherwise, the classes should have been a part and parcel of history. Suppose if I am teaching ancient history, so I cannot escape architecture of ancient. I cannot escape sculptures, Gandhara art or Mathura art, or painting, or any works related to music in ancient period. Same is medieval period, because it is very much integral part of history. But still, if we go by common trend, 4 areas: modern history, ancient history, medieval history, and art and culture. Because in world history, they are not going to ask, luckily. Any question? Now, do you have any idea out of 100 how much they are asking from history and culture put together? In the last 10 years, between 17 to 22, lowest 17, highest 22. So suppose we take an average, it would be around 18.5 question certainly coming from history and culture. Now, in my classes, when we start, I tell that at least 14 you must do correct out of that 18 and 15. Because in some areas you have to do better than some other areas, because you may not be very good in, say, economics. Some may not be very good in science and tech, especially those students who are coming from arts background. So you have to rely on some strong areas right from the beginning. But since it is a competitive exam, so sometimes what happens that on a subject which you relied very much, you are not doing very well, and vice versa. So First thing I want to explain to you so that you should have fair idea. This I prepared, took me more than 18 hours in a span of 10 days to prepare this, which I made it last year before the prelims for one of the coaching institution in Rajendra Nagar. And I added 21 also, but that PPT could not be added here. So, can you see this? 4 areas which I told: modern history, ancient history, medieval history. Okay, let me. So 4 areas. Now what I did, topics, can you see this? Art and crafts, architecture, dance, drama, festivals, literature, music, painting, performing arts, and sculptures. So these are 10 topics, suppose, in art and culture. Now if you see, maximum questions came from which topic? Architecture, except 2020. And most likely in 21 also they ask questions on architecture. So, what is the conclusion you are going to make? You must prepare from architecture at any cost. Most likely they would ask question from architecture of ancient and medieval history. Why so? Because in UPSC what happens? The teachers who are framing the questions, since I have framed for one state, so they give last 10-year question and syllabus. So teachers have a mindset that what is already asked so regular, I must ask because it is important. Some teachers go out of the box, innovative, nothing asked, ever asked. They may ask, like you can see drama. Not a single question asked in the last 10 years. So if I have to take risk, I would skip drama. But I cannot skip architecture. Now in some cases you have said invariables, like here in festivals, they have asked last time in 2010 and then in 2018 and 17, right? Sometime 3 questions in the same year. This means 3 questions in the same year. So this also you would see in many places. Like here you see 4 questions on architecture in 2014. So that means that if you have like 2 question here, 2 question here in arts and crafts, that means that if you are ignoring some topic, that means 4 question all gone. Or all 4 question you could have done it. And that is where the differences could be by 1 mark or 2 marks. I will give it to our officials and you can get it, this, so that you can analyze yourself and you can also make yourself, not necessarily this year but maybe for next time, how to analyze. This topic I made it, this is not anywhere in syllabus or in any book, because UPSC would just write art and culture, that's it, and they leave it to your imagination. What do you mean by art and culture? So since we are from the same field, so we know that it would definitely mean minimum 10. It may include 11th and 12th also, like when we say performing arts, like martial arts. So there are a lot of performing arts in different parts of India. So they do ask questions. So one of the favorite is painting also. Have you noticed that? One of the, of course, architecture is at top. But have you noticed in a sculpture they have not asked a single question? So interesting that Gandhar, Mathura, Gupta. Can you think why? Actually they asked thrice in the main exam. Now that is also a lead. that something which they are not asking in prelim, the same topic they can ask in main and vice versa. Now this is something you could have never imagined like that. UPSC thinks like that. Like in some current affairs economics, current affairs geography, environment, what they do, that a question which they ask in prelims, the same question they ask in main in more elaborative form. So sometime when you have seen UPSC like on 5th of June, so if you read question after 1 week, okay, with a fresh mind, and think what could be the question in the main which was asked in the prelim. And you would be surprised, there would be at least 7-8 questions every year which they ask in the main and it was already asked in the prelims. You're getting my point? So that's the lead. This is all the work done by the Pandits of IAS Coaching institution, long experiences sometime, and those what is called brainstorming sessions. So we had a lot of groups in Delhi that after the prelims we would sit in the evening with all the papers, and some of them would come live nowadays discussing the papers. So during that we learned all these things, that how it is interconnected, because something which is ongoing, say Russia and Ukraine war going on, in India's diplomatic move 2+2, India, Australia, India, Japan, and some question asked in the prelims, and the same question elaborated in the main, because it is very much interconnected. Okay? So I hope you understood why they did not ask a sculpture. So such question, be ready for the main. Now, modern history is in 2 slides. And again I have divided under, if you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. One is India in 18th century, in which I gave you 3 names. Regional kingdoms. I hope you understand. Bengal, Awadh, Hyderabad, Mysore, etc. European factories, you know, that East India Company, French, Dutch, etc. Though we study in the class, I also teaches in everywhere. But when we see not a single question they ask in the last 10 years, so definitely I would not prepare this year, because I have little time, and especially in the last 3 months I would not focus on that area. So I would more focus on, say, economic policies, on in the second page you would see more that modern India is, now you see this one, point number 5 to 12. So that means the entire modern India is here. So it looks like Chandni Chowk, congested lane, or Charminar, congested lane, right? So have you noticed that one area where they have asked definitely is Gandhian phase of freedom struggle. And see how many questions, 3 here, 4 here, 3 here, 3 here. That means if you are good from Champaran to quit India, okay, and Gandhi at the center, so wherever Bapu was going, you just follow him. Okay, from Champaran to Ahmedabad to Kheda to Dandi, and because they like, to me, they are very much obsessed with Mahatma Gandhi. That is very natural also for any historians and teachers. And I was surprised to see very few questions on revolutionary movement, like Bhagat Singh, like others. Though on media and television and social media, I see nowadays more with Bhagat Singh picture and Subhash Chandra Bose and others. But maybe for historians, this is not very important. So again, I would skip. Reason is that if you study, it is scattered across modern history, some bomb blast here, some looting here, whereas in Gandhian movement, it is organized. So if you read 4 chapters very seriously of any good books, lot of facts and concepts are very much there, right? If you can see famous personalities of modern India. Now, that is one smart way of getting 2 things together. One, like last year they asked about Lala Lajpat Rai, and what they did, they just gave 3 statesmen, and then they asked, who was the gentleman? He traveled extensively in the Europe and America. He was involved in this movement. He wrote this book, and then It was like in Hindi we call Paheli Bujhana. You understand this? So like it was quizzing you. So advantage is that if you read say 100 personality, just go through. In my book I have given A to Z all great Indian nationalists from Abdul Ghaffar Khan A to Zakir Hussain Z, and for each one para. Now suppose Sarojini Naidu. So you are reading Sarojini Naidu, Nightingale of India. She was involved in this movement. Post-independence, she was holding this post. Suppose you are reading about Vivekanand. So Vivekanand visited this country, associated with this in one para. So what is the advantage? You are not only reading that person, but also the events of modern India. And if the question is from the event, you can answer with the help of personality. If the question is from personality, you can answer from the help of events. So that is how your one field of knowledge would help in the other field. That is the advantage of reading personalities. And as I told, there are certain guides in which you can read, but do not read more than half page on one personality. Try to get a material, like as I told in my book, I have written about 100 personalities, and this is all in hardly 20 pages. Less than that. Okay, so in one page you have 4. So it should be informative, because you are not writing about their thoughts. That would be related to main exam about Gandhi, Nehru, Tagore, Ambedkar, and here you have to read 10 pages on one person, 20 pages on one person. In prelims, you just have to go through some important activities, books, some important statement if associated with that person, because they do ask about some statements and who had said it, this one. So this is, I hope, one area where you can see crown policies, acts and committees, very frequently asked. So 1773 to 1947, Indian Independence Act. Just bring it all in one page or one few pages and read it in one glance. Don't read it in installment, that you read Regulating Act today, 1935 Act after 1 week. So you would forget. So devote some say 5 hours exclusively on acts and see the relationship between one act and another act. For instance, Regulating Act, Pitt's India Act, Charter Act. There is a connection. You must have read that 4 executive council members, then 3 executive council members, then 4 executive council members in 1773, 1784 and 1833. There is a connection between 4 Charter Acts, 1793, 1813, 1833, 1853. So something which happened in 1833 might have been undone or done in 1833 Charter Act. Something which happened in 1919 Act, Government of India Act, might have been reversed in 1935 Act. Your Tarique was removed in 1935 Act. And in 1935 Act, the Dalit got reservation on the basis of Pune Pact. So this is the continuity. If you are preparing in one single day, you would not miss. Lot of committees the British had made in the field of education, in the field of administration, famine and other economic policies. What were the recommendations? Just try to get top 3 recommendations and you would get the answer. If they have 10 recommendations, I would suggest ignore the last 5. But read at least those first 3, because most likely they would frame the question from what is called top orders. Reason is this: UPSC and the teachers who are framing this question, they are aware that you are not a student of history. You are a B.Tech. You are other professionals. आप history मजबूरी में पढ़ रहे हो. You are forced to study. So they are not going to go into the details of history. So I have my own way of analogy. There are some highways question. There are certain state highways. There are certain district roads, and there are certain gali kuchas road, mohallas road. Most question in GS would be highways and state highways, not Gali Kucha. That would be an optional paper. You're getting my point? Suppose on Gandhi, if they wish to ask in optional paper the same objective type question, then the question would be in Champaran, what happened out of the 4 events, and maybe all the 4 happened, all the 3 happened. In your GS, they would ask that arrange the chronological order of Gandhian movement, Champaran, Ahmedabad, Kheda, Rowlatt, Satyagraha. So this I would call highway question. Have you noticed? Every year at least 2 questions in history they are asking in just chronology. Which event happened first, which event happened second. Now sometimes the options which they gave, it shows that the teacher wanted you that you do correctly. They are helping you. How? Rowlatt Act, non-cooperation movement, you're getting now? Then withdrawal of non-cooperation movement, Chauri Chaura incident, you remember this? And then Nehru committee report. This type of question means teacher is helping you. But still you are not doing correctly because you did not focus at the time of study. A teacher who wants to tease you, grill you, how would he ask? Rowlatt Act, Government of India Act, Jallianwala Bagh massacre and Congress session at Amritsar. All happened in 1919. You getting my point? Now, your case is gone. It's very difficult that 9 out of the 10 students who are appearing would not do correctly. But I have seen very few such questions they ask like that. They would give gaps, 1 year, 2 years, which means the teacher is helping you and literally asking, "Arey, itna to bata do. At least tell like this." Even in interview, they sometimes give some clue if you forget. Ki itna to bata do. In the main, you can't do that, but in prelims and in interview, they are literally helping you that at least you should know that. So, one suggestion is that when you study these topics, in your mind, make a chronology. And especially events from 1917 to 47. And the more you go closer to independence, the more intense activities are happening. You getting? And 30s and 40s are 2 decades where I have seen they are definitely asking questions. 1930s and 1940s. So wherever you get 1930s and 40s for both pre and main exam, even for interview, these 2 decades are, in fact, they have asked already on 1920s 2 years back. If you have seen in the main exam, the political events of 1920s, because that was the decade in which you have lot of what is called churning in Indian politics, Communist Party, Hindu Mahasabha active, Muslim League active, Congress in full swing, and revolutionaries active, and then British also were very much in reformative moods, etc. And by the turn we come to 30s and 40s, both at international level, Great Depression, Mussolini, Hitler, and then their impact in India. So this is the reason why these 3 decades are very crucial in Indian history, 1920s, 30s and 40s. And of course, Dalit movement and entire Ambedkarites movement happened in these decades. So any teacher who is framing the question from modern history would check. That's the reason why Gandhian phase is dominating, because it is in those 3 decades, 20s, 30s and 40s, right? Early phase of freedom struggle. What does it mean? That 1857 to 1905 or 1910, okay? One is before Gandhi, one is from Gandhi and onwards. So that period is also very important because formation of Congress, first 4 session of Congress is very important. Then in all the Congress session, as in the classes also I tell, that you have to make it smartly, first 4, last 4, all the women president. Luckily, there were only 3 women president. Why I'm saying luckily, because you don't have to remember too much. Otherwise, it was a bad luck, right? Tell me those 3 women presidents. Sarojini Naidu, Annie Besant, third one. Now this is where, because the first 2 you all know that. Third was Nalini Sen Gupta, and which session? 1932, right? So, point is, president, place, right? Year. But nowadays they are asking beyond that. Important resolutions like fundamental rights. In which session? 1931. So which fundamental rights they ask? And which was not part? Now you are gone. Have you noticed that? Was right to speech part of there or not? Right to form assembly part of not? You know, in Article 19 you have 6 freedoms. So whether all the 6 was there or not. So I would suggest go through that one. So resolutions in Congress sessions, major resolutions, not all. For instance, when did first time they talk about drain of wealth, in which Congress session? Yeah, Dadabhai Naoroji, but which session of the Congress, that is important, right? Like when did first time they chant Vande Mataram in Congress session? 1896, very good. Where and who was the president? Now I have this question, right? In the second and the third one, okay? So I hope you're getting this. I will give it to staff and you have to get it. Socio-religious reform movement. Only in the last few years, they are asking. Earlier they had ignored it. Okay, come to ancient history. Minus art and culture. Okay, so first Indus Valley. So there is no such question on a Stone Age. That is good news. Yeah, otherwise it could have been difficult. So one topic, can you see, is very frequently, that is Buddhism. So my guess is Buddhism and Jainism, if you see both together, 3 and 4 are regularly asked. So if I have to study ancient religion, I may skip Vedic because it was asked only 3 times. But my guess would be 3 ancient religion, Vedic, in which you have 2 religion, 2 sects rather, Vaishnavism, Shaivism. I hope you understand. Then Buddhism and Jainism. Always make sure that you are on a strong wicket on these 3, because these are our fountainhead for the main. In interview, they would ask various questions related to these 3. Then various sects, because they have asked questions on sects of Buddhism. I have not gone into the further detail what exactly the question, because that was not possible here. So within Buddhism there are sects, there are texts, there are councils, right? So that's how they are framing question, and most of the time I have seen they are not asking simple question that Buddha was born in Lumbini, or who was his mother and father and where he got. This is all nowadays they are asking in SSC, Bank PO, sometime in your state PCS. In UPSC what they are asking, soul is eternal. Soul dies along with the body. You getting my point? And then they are asking, it is a part of Buddhism, it is a part of Jainism, it is a part of both, it is a part of none. So that means unless you have read it thoroughly, thought it, you can't do that. So this is what I would suggest, whatever you have read it. Of course, had I met you earlier, I would have suggested the best chapter in one reading on Buddhism, Jainism and Vedic religion is A. L. Basham book, Wonder That Was India. Okay, available in the local market. If you get Xerox copy, put together these 3 religions would be in 20 pages, not more than that. But if that 20-page reading can ensure 2 questions with certainty, bura nahi hai na? This sauda bura nahi hai. This deal is very good deal, because they are asking A and B, Once I read that, I am sure I can handle that question with great confidence, because they are not asking factual questions in most of the questions of history or culture. They are asking statements, conceptual, understanding. And of course, I will tell you how to handle that question shortly after this briefing. So I hope you understood that area where to focus. So if you ask me the area where I can avoid, say Mauryan history, if I want to avoid, I would not avoid their administration, like terminologies of Guptas and Mauryas. There are higher rank officers, middle rank, lower ranks, Samaharta, Sannidata, you must have read somewhere, Nyayadhish, right? What job he was looking in Mauryan time, in Gupta's time? So because it would take just half an hour to read administrative heads, and you can answer some of the questions related to this if it is asked. Though as I told that they have ignored other than one king which they asked in 2020. Now one area where they can ask in main science and technology, they have not asked. This is what I said, they have perhaps reserved it for main and they have asked already. Terminologies, they are asking questions. And these terminologies are related to few areas. One, administration and taxes of ancient time. One, religious terminologies of various faiths of ancient time. One terminology is related to technology of that period. Say there was a question, Arhant, 3 or 4 years back they asked. So it's a wheel through which you lift the water for agriculture. So that was called Rahant or Arhant. There was a term asked that was Banjara, who were Banjaras in medieval time. So they were specific traders who were supplying grains from rural to urban area. So only trader would not be the correct one. Right, so sometime two close options would be given, and what to do I will tell that part also. So terminology is one area of ancient and medieval from where you can get terminology easily. The last pages of the book, in the glossaries, in most good books you would get. So R.S. Sharma ancient history, Satish Chandra medieval history. Just go through those glossaries of say 50-70 words in ancient, 50-70 words medieval. So if you are reading 150 words, terms and meaning, just go through 2-3 times, have a glance. It may strike you, you may not remember all the time, all those terms. But the moment you see the 4 options, since you have read it, you have revised it, then it may come to your mind at that time. That is what the terminologies you should. Now, if you ask me medieval, have you noticed that at the best 4 question was asked in 2019? That was their maximum one. And before that, 2 years, have you noticed? 17, 18, not a single question. I remember what happened. When I was teaching, so many students in my class also told, sir, medieval से question नहीं आता है, मत पढ़ाइए. मैंने कहा आ गया तो. So, as teacher and as a part of our curriculum, we teach as per the syllabus and possibility. So we taught medieval also, including art and culture. And then when they asked these questions, they were shocked. You're getting my point, that it was not 1, not 2, but 4 questions they asked in 2019. So, one golden rule, UPSC stands for Unpredictable Public Shock Commission. So, it is very unpredictable in terms of areas, in terms of type of questions. And I remember when 150 question was asked before 2012. You remember that? In GS. And there was optional also for objective type. I hope you know that?
Yes, sir.
No. For 300 marks, optionals, 150 GS. So the story was this, it was somewhere around 2009 or 10, that in 1 year, out of 150, they asked 48 questions on current affairs, 102 traditional, what is called static, history, geography, economy, politics. So next year, coaching when it started, each coaching institution started exclusive class on current affairs. Teachers were hired but not easily available for current affairs. So I also took some classes on current affairs. I remember that we have to prepare a lot based on newspapers and magazines, etc. And each areas of those teachers preparing only for current affairs. And 60-70 hours classes in each coaching taught only on current affairs. Next year, only 2 questions came. And then everybody shocked. What to do? Last year 48, this year 2 questions. Because UPSC, I met many former members and chairperson because we are part of now mock interview board, including DP Agarwal, right? So what PC Hota Sahib, once a chairman in 2003 to 5, he told us that we want to outsmart the coaching institution. Then I said, sir, coaching are trying to outsmart you. You're getting now? Because coaching institutions are hundreds. UPSC is one. Coaching institutions are thousands of teachers. You have few. Then I told that you pay very less, they pay very high. So their teachers are working very hard to crack all the questions. So in the main exam, there is hardly any question which we don't discuss in the classes. In the main exam. Almost 90% question are already taught in one or another coaching institutions, in good institution I'm talking. That means it is very predictable. And in interview, almost 80% questions which we ask in the mock, they do ask. You know the reason? We believe, वो सवाल पूछेगा कहाँ से? From where they would frame question? वो इतना नहीं पढ़ रहा है जितना हम पढ़ रहे हैं. Like Russia and Ukraine war going on. So when we train our students, from how many angles we ask the questions, I am sure they would never have thought, like we ask, what is the impact of Russia-Ukraine war in, think, in or on? नहीं, इंडिया तो सब कर ही रहा है. In Africa. Are you getting now? Can you think? Africa is dependent on wheat from both Russia and Ukraine. Now India, if you stop supply anything, India would not die. Reason? We have food enough surplus. But Africa may die. Many African countries may die. Yemen may die, Somalia may die, Uganda may die. Am I right? If they don't have food supply for 6 months. So that is their direct impact. Our impact would be थोड़ा सा पैसा बढ़ गया, cost हो गया, वो रशिया से वैसे भी oil बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं आता इंडिया में. But because oil price is increased, Saudi Arabia and etc., so the impact would be in India more indirect rather than direct. So the point I'm making is that this exam is very predictable. Are you getting not? If you are not ready, that means your strategy was wrong. That is why your surprise and unpredictability comes, that oh my god, shocking, ye kaise ho gaya. So what I said कि last year 48 question, this year 2 question, you should have been ready for that. Again this year be ready. Suppose not a single question from history and culture then. Yes, very much possible. And suppose 40 question only from geography and environment. Be ready. Do you know in interview, I know personally many students, out of 30 minutes, 25 minutes talked only on one movie. Only one movie. And all the 4 members talking only on one movie. And the movie was Ardha Satya of Om Puri. His choice was IPS first. And the movie was on police. And each one had seen the movie, the boy also had seen the movie, and interview went very well. 25 minutes. I was just wondering, क्या खुशकिस्मत है यार, मुझसे कोई कहे बाहुबली पे 1 घंटा बोलना, मैं तो बोल दूंगा कि ये पहला पॉइंट ये है कि it is a fiction. Okay, there is no history and there was no Mahishmati kingdom, right? But it is beautifully made as far as the costumes and design it's concerned. So the point is, in interview half an hour में 25 मिनट एक टॉपिक पे हो सकता है. In the main, they can ask questions related to happenings in India and world, which any educated person and those who are in the thick and thin of civil service, they should know it. So if you're surprised, then actually I am surprised on your surprises. That why you're surprised? That how can you say that medieval India से एक भी question नहीं आएगा? So just because 2018 and 17 you said कोई question नहीं आया, so that means your vision was limited. That is why I brought 10 years. If I go further 20 years, that I have seen it, but I thought it will take too much time. So 10 years is a good time for analysis. For the main exam, 5 to 7 years, good time. Don't go 10 years because then trends would fastly change, okay? So I hope you understood the points which I wanted to tell through this, and I would suggest you get it from our staff, analyze yourself, and based on this, if you have to write next year, I wish you don't have to, then you can make plan for other subjects, eco, geography and other subjects. But first task is how you are making sub points of each is very important. So with the help of teachers you can do, like for instance, Delhi Sultanate is a topic between 13th to 16th century. So what I did, have you noticed under 3 major headings, kings, administrations and literature, because art is already part of art and culture, that I excluded. Now suppose in literature they ask about travelers, Fahiyan, Huensong, Ibn Battuta and various other Mughals, right? Now there is no such question so far about medieval travelers, but they had asked in ancient travelers, Fahiyan, Huensongs earlier. So my suggestion is make a list of all the travelers. And how to make it list? Name of travelers, then second, country from where he or she, well only he came, she to aayi nahi thi koi, hai na? He came. Third thing, the contemporary Indian ruler or kingdom. 4, place where he visited. 5, what he wrote about India. Okay? Or think innovatively. In Vijayanagar kingdom, which of the following travelers came? Now tell. Fahiyan. Vijayanagar. उस वक्त तो पैदा ही नहीं होता विजयनगर ना? Come on. Morocco. No, Morocco came in 13th century and Vijayanagar established in 14th century. Again, not possible. Vasco da Gama, 1498. Vijayanagar kingdom. Oh my God. You pray that they don't ask this question in your prelims, because the level of your preparation shows that you're not prepared the travelers so far, right? Okay, have you heard this Persian traveler Abdul Razak, Niccolo Conti? You heard it? Have you heard this Domingo Pace? Have you heard Duarte Barbosa? No. Domingo Pace and Duarte Barbosa came in the reign of Krishna Dev Raya. Niccolo Conti came in the reign of Dev Raya I. You're getting now? Abdul Razak came in the reign of Dev Raya II. So they would ask, name of king, match the following. Kingdom. No, this is something which is like doable. And you have to do, there is no other option. It is so simple. So if you are missing it, that means that you have not taken it seriously, or perhaps you were not told that this is important. They may ask any time If not asked last 5 years does not mean it can strike to any teacher. Like Ibn Battuta. There was a song on Ibn Battuta a few years back. You know that? So the teacher is also listening song. So he may think about Ibn Battuta and the question. So one clue of prelims is this. Any name in history which was in news recently, in the last one calendar year. Think about any person in India who were talked in public media and government in the last 1 year. V.D. Savarkar, very good. Madan Mohan Malviya. You know, BJP government has their own heroes, Congress government has their own heroes. But the point is that who is in limelight, coming out. Have you heard Azadi Ke Amrit Mahotsav? Now one surest way of guessing is that in the last 6 months, check it from the government website, that which freedom fighters are in the list. No, Subhash Chandra Bose, yaar, ye to hum log bachpan se jante hain. The point is that in Azadi Ke Amrit Mahotsav, we do not know many people. They may be a local hero and they may take directly from that list and frame a question. Now, if suppose 2 questions are asked from Azadi Ke Amrit Mahotsav and you do both correct, you would thank me and Modi ji because he started this Azadi Ke Amrit Mahotsav. This is a smart way of guessing the question. Like in the main exam, how to guess questions on important personality. Suppose somebody is having 150 years of his life, 200 years of events, like once there was 150th birthday of Maulana Azad. So they ask one question, Maulana Azad. Now suppose something happening 75th year, 150th year, 200 years, okay, of world event, India event, then the teacher is also aware about it. And he or she may ask question related to some important events which are happening in India and world, and that you can predict. Okay? So I hope you understood the topic which you have to prepare on yourself in the remaining days. Now the question is, from where? Right? This is not the time to tell anything to read new. That is the first golden rule. Because last 30 days, it's like countdown, as in the rocket, okay, 10, 9, 8, so you're countdowning. So the best solution is this, 2 very important solutions which we give, and this I'm telling you with all the experiences of teachers and students, because luckily we have some students. One student is from Kerala. In the last 3 prelims, he scored 153, 147, 149. Are you getting now? So I said, you're so good, why don't you take class? And I invited him in my university for a class. Generally, the class would have 50-60 strength, rest would be in hostel and library. When I announced, 180 students came. The moment I said he scored this. So then I realized that how to sell a product, you're getting a nod, that students are not interested who the guy was, his roommate of someone, roaming in the campus, but the moment had I just announced his name, they would not have come. But I announced that he got 3 years, his name is Roshan, okay, from Kerala, writing again main unfortunately, so missing by 5-7 marks each time. And scoring in prelims, so confident. So I sat with him in the classroom full 2 hours and just wanted to check what he do. That he scores so well, and I'm sure if there is a ranking in India, he would be topper out of 200. Am I right or wrong? Very few would have scored 120 plus, but 147, 153 out of 200. In CSET I can understand, because that is purely based on your acquired knowledge. Here you have to get every day, and then the questions are not direct. Questions are very smartly designed of different subjects of history, geography, economy, etc. So I found some interesting trick he use. I can just give you one example which I learned from him. Okay? He said that each year when I read from 1 to 100 questions, okay, and suppose I do not know question number 9 and 11 and 13, right? So at that time I do not attempt. I do first I know. That I think we all do that. Am I right? Then he said, when I read all 100, then I realized that question number 59 and question number 11 had some connection. So I read it together and I found the answer of both. Can you imagine? Now this is very interesting and innovative way. The two different teachers might have made this question, but both related to something current economy or current government policies. So a smart mind who have read well got a clue, not answer, clue. And based on that clue, he got the answer of both this one and this one. And suddenly, he is 4 marks richer than others. And if you have done twice in 100, you are sure winner. Because the competition is like this, up to 90 out of 200 for general candidates, any serious candidates can do that. Serious candidates who have prepared whole 1 year with good coaching, etc. The competition is now between 90 to 95 and 95 to 100. There is no competition between 85 to 90. So whenever some students come to me, sir, I scored 85, I don't even look at him or her. Reason is that for me, it's like hundreds of students are doing. Thousands rather doing, because 5 lakh plus students are appearing. So if I minus the first 2 lakh non-serious who just went and came, right? Do you know that 10 lakh apply, 5 lakh appear? That shows how non-serious we are. That 10 lakh apply and 50% only attendance, because we conducted a lot of exams and it cost hugely to the government. You know how it cost? Because they arrange as per form. It is like you are inviting in a marriage party 1000 people and only 500 come. What would happen? Imagine. All the food wasted or not? So nowadays, when we get a message, they also say, please confirm you are coming or not. Have you noticed this? So that may be because they are very particular about their money. Please confirm I am coming or not. In UPSC, what happens? For each 35 students, 2 teachers. They have to arrange. If the teacher came, you have to pay. You have to hire a room, you have to pay. You have to hire other staff, you have to pay. Whether they came 1 or 0 or all full strength. So all the money of government is wasted or not by non-seriousness of 5 lakh students? So why did they fill the form? That is my first question. Right? And they fill it because women free, SC, ST free. So if they charge 500 rupees, I am sure that the form would drastically reduce from 10 lakh to 6 lakh. Still, 1 lakh would not come, maybe for different reason. But the point is, first 2 lakh is non-serious or not in the race at all. Now the remaining 3 lakhs of different categories, the general category I am talking, 40,000 to 50,000 are very serious and very good also. And each one are like neck to neck. It is like FIFA World Cup. Have you ever seen 16 teams? They all qualified, beating hundreds of teams all over the world, 200 countries. So what happens when they reach to quarter-final stage, the last 8, then the match is like it is anybody's game. As small as Croatia can play final. Am I right? And as big as Brazil can be out. This exam is exactly like that. The last 20,000, the last 10,000, I'm talking general candidates, not reserve candidates, okay? They are so neck to neck that I know many students who was IPS last year, this year failed in Prelims. There is a girl right now training here in Hyderabad. Her name is Garima Dhaya. Okay? She got IPS in 2019. Okay, 2019 she got IPS. Wanted to write for IAS in 2020, failed in prelims. 2021 passed, now giving interview, and maybe in this month she would have her interview. And I know at least more than 50 candidates in the last 5 years who already are in the service, IRS, IPS or custom, etc., trying to improve, and twice they failed in the prelims. One candidate is Haris bin Zama. He failed twice in prelims after he got IPS. But finally, I told him, okay, why you are wasting so much years? It's better you join. And now he is in Jharkhand and completed his training last year and now posted. So what I'm saying, a person who has passed by all the process, failing in the prelims, then I know at least 40 students in my campus are right now those who gave interview last year or last to last year, and they also failed in prelims in 2021. Writing against prelims on 5th of June. Who are they? They're all those who are in bracket of 90 to 95, 95 to 100, because they have reached to a level where they can definitely get 90, but the real competition starts for general candidates above 90. And for each 1 mark from 90 to 91, 91 to 92, the struggle is like this. Have you ever seen Richter scale 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 in earthquake Richter scale? Do you know how it increased from 4 to 5? When I say Richter scale 5 and when I say Richter scale 6, so what is the difference between the two in terms of intensity between 5 and 6? Double, triple, 4, 10 times, 100 times, 10 times. From 5 to 6, intensity. And 6 to 7, 10 times. That is why each Richter scale rise, 10 times more devastation. You apply the same logic here. You get my point. For each question, your effort would be like, as you made efforts of getting 91, maybe the similar amount of effort, if not exactly at least 80% amount to get just 2 more marks. Just to get 2 more marks. That's the reason they fail. That's the reason they are still neck to neck. And I know, interestingly, one very interesting case is that some of the toppers in top 10, top 20, when I asked your marks in prelims, I was shocked. Oh my God, you were at borderline. Had you just missed this, forget topper, tum to main hi nahi likhte. You know Tina Davi? Okay, so there is a Khan studies student group where we were teaching earlier. So she was in first or second year when she would attend the class. When she passed, her prelims score was 93. You get my point? She is a C category candidate. The cutoff marks for general candidate for prelims at that year was 95. And she got 93. So because she belongs to SC category, she passed prelims. And she was very good in main and decent in interview, not very good. Because 5 of my students got 200 plus, she goes 193. So, point is, decent in interview, very good in political science, GS, essay, she topped. But imagine had she been a general candidate, gone, not even prelims. So, there is a girl, she is right now IRS in Calcutta. Her story is that 3 times she failed prelims. First 3 times in my own university, studied in mass comm and English. So then she decided to drop this idea of writing IAS. Joined Telegraph, a very good newspaper in Calcutta. Then her mother came to me and told, it's a matter of 2011, 12 years, that we want her to write, she is not ready, you please tell her, she may listen you. I said I tried, but she is not ready because her complaint is that prelims is a foolish exam and I can never crack it. I am good in main, I can crack it. Her optional was English literature, right? So I said, maybe your strategy is not good. So why don't you do one thing, we sit together, 2-3 students, me, and then see the problem where you have. So out of insistence of her mother and me and one more teacher, she agreed to give one more attempt, not more than that, right? Because some people have better options in life in general. She is a good journalist, so she wanted to explore there. Anyhow, she wrote. And she realized there was some area which she was neglecting, particularly economics and environment. And a lot of questions comes from that area. So she worked on that. She cleared prelims. And I knew that the moment she would clear main and interview also. Very much sure. English literature. She cleared main, came for mock interviews, right? Then one chairman who was former ambassador, Mahesh Sachdeva, one CBI special director, K. Salim Ali, IPS, and one more former UP Public Service Commission chairman, and me. We were sitting, gave very wonderful interview. Then they all suggested, okay, she is very good, but you please advise her one thing when she went, that do not go in hijab. She was in hijab. You know hijab? Nowadays a big issue, international issue, right? And she's a Bohra Muslim. It's a subset of Muslims, very colorful hijab she wears, right? So I said, sir, I can't tell because I know it is unethical. Second, I know her since last 3 years. I have never seen her without burqa ever in the campus. So how can she do that? So I would not tell. And each of the 3 were convinced, no, if you tell going without burqa, she would get better marks. So they have also this mindset because they may think very orthodox person and you are not adjustable, etc. Anyhow, she went to UPSC and they asked question on burqa. Are you getting? And it was 2013 batch. She cleared. You can see her interview on YouTube also. And they asked the question on burqa that would not it impact your work? How do you see that? And she said, the Prime Minister at that time was Dr. Manmohan Singh. She said, our Honorable Prime Minister wear turban. Our leader of opposition, BJP leaders, wear saffron. That is their identity. This is my identity. That was enough. You get my point or not? So they asked this to check your confidence. Whatever you do, whatever you are, how confident you are. She got to 20 in interview. I've never seen, at least in last 20 years, anybody got to 20. Out of 275. How much? 80%. She got 107 rank overall because her optional was not as good in English. Because English literature, very difficult to get good marks. So she chose after IAS, IRS. Not IPS, not Foreign Service. So right now she is in Revenue Service in Calcutta. So yesterday she was chatting with me, so I saw her, picture, DP what you call. So the picture is, again, it reminded me the same thing which that Mahesh Sachdeva Sahab was talking to me, that please tell her to remove her burqa. And this is a picture. She is in office, Calcutta, with the same burqa. Can you see that? So what she said and what she is doing from 2013 to 22 now, and she is now Deputy Commissioner in Calcutta, is very correct. So that means UPSC was judging correctly. UPSC is very honest, very professional. This is what I wanted to tell, that how this exam Once you cross a level, the real competition is between this 40,000. And they are very neck to neck. She failed thrice in Prelims. That means she was very good student, but somehow not very good in Prelims. That is why in the very first interview, she passed that. So biggest slippery ground in UPSC is Prelims. Second biggest is interview. That of course we will talk later on, because in interview the marks which UPSC is giving 45 to 75% in the bracket. And some very brilliant student I saw, they got 130, 140, 110, 120. There is a boy here, now he's IAS in Telangana, Muzammil. His father was IPS, DGP of your Telangana, Mr. Khan, A.K. Khan. So Muzammil I interviewed here when he was IRS, and then he went to Delhi, and in our mock also he was there. So our board gave him 210. Each of us individually gives. So I remember I gave him 210. One of my senior gave 205. In UPSC he got 215. You getting? And then of course he got IS, proper IS. So there is a girl called Shreya Singhal, right, last year. And we all gave her 200 and she got 201. Right? She is an IS training right now in Mussoorie. So the point is this, that on what basis we know that you are going to get 45% or 75%. That of course is also very interesting. We will take some class on personality development part. But here what you have to be little bit cautious, I would say, that Prelims is the most dicey. Even Muzammil, even Zainab, even Shreya, they all had failed or struggled. You getting now? And many students after passing IPS tried twice, could not clear, they joined IPS. So why I am telling you is because they did some mistakes despite having their knowledge. Because once they pass, that means they have knowledge. So now I am coming to that part, how with the existing knowledge on that day you perform better. 4 marks extra, 5 marks extra, so that you don't have to, regret that I wish I could have done that or I could have done this one. Because in the next 25 days, the first rule is, whether it is history or any part of your GS, is stop reading anything new. Including, I would say, stop reading newspaper. Questions have already been prepared 1 month back. You agree now? Because it takes time. Teachers have made it, then reviewed, then printed, then logistically you have to supply it. So, if somebody want to be 100% sure, then just 20 days before the exam, so if the exam is on 5th of June, 20 days before kaun sa date hoga? 15th of May. So last you read of 14th of May and then stop. Are you reading newspaper today? How many hours? 1 or 2? So if you save that 2 hours, this is the point that from 90 you can do 92. Because that time you are going to use where? Now you are going to revise. And revise each of your notes which you have prepared minimum 3 times. Each of your notes. Right from first day of your note of any coaching, any material, just revise, but make sure 3 times. This I am telling you from all those successful students who have crossed 95 and every year crossing 100 plus, including that boy Roshan, who are getting 140 plus easily. Of course, he also has to do the same formula, because it's not like guaranteed that he would get next year also 100 and 40. But of course, somebody who has reached 120, all he or she has to do is just basic homeworks, because they would easily cross 120 plus. So revise at least 3 times. Third important thing is at least 3 full length test series. In this period, you must do that. And what is important, 3 full length from 3 different institutions. Now you understand why. Nowadays, it is available, free available. So I would not suggest you to purchase. Some of your friend has purchased, you get it. Question, and then you can get it, answer key. So 3 full length tests. Now suppose 1 full length test in a coaching is 4. So 4 into 3, 12 tests of 100 each. You have practiced. Now what is the advantage? Good coaching institutions, which is, I would prefer, my personal preference is, you may have your own personal preference, Rajendra Nagar. This is Makkah of IAS Coaching. The top coaching institutes are sitting in Rajendra Nagar. So I had a class yesterday, mock, I'm taking in Rajendra Nagar. I would not name the coaching right now, sitting in analog, not good. Are you getting now? It is like you went to Domino's and asking the address of Pizza Hut. Okay, this is very unethical business. So my point is that any top institutions of Rajendra Nagar, if you get 3 tests, 3 into 4 equal to 12. So what is the advantage? In 1200 questions you got? You are getting now 1200 questions of each subject: history, geography, economy, science, tech, current, environment, etc., etc. Then each of them are also giving answers and explanation. So when you read explanation, in explanation itself you would get 2-3 points. I hope you're getting. So one question would make you richer 5 facts, 3 concepts. So it would not be only 1200. It would be like 12 into 3, 12 into 4, because the type of questions which they have framed, and because the way they have given explanation, and since you have read it and revised it, so this is only fruitful for those who have done the basic homework, and I presume you have done it. This is just last 20 days, 25 days exercise. So revision at least thrice, whatever you have read it, and then what I said, full length test at least from 3 institutions, 4, because some of them are offering 8 tests, 7 tests, 10 tests. But instead of taking 8 from one institution, I would prefer 4 from one, 4 from another, 4 from another. Reason, in each coaching centers, for making 1 full length questions, they involve 10 to 12 brain. And these brains are active brain, used brain, not unused brain, right? And many of them have cracked this exam. Some of them who failed in prelims, you're getting my point? But IPS, but IRS, since they live in Delhi, so many of them had made it as a source of temporary income also. I have also used many such students because they're very good at current affairs. They're very good in collecting some of the informations from various sources. So these 12 people in 1 coaching, 3 coaching, 36 mind. Actually, you are reading. UPSC is also using the same trick, that for 100 questions, they are using 20 minds. So now you are surpassing because you are using 30 plus mind. This is a mind game. So suppose if somebody is framing question on science and technology, in UPSC there are 4, and in coaching we have 8. And they are teachers and they are some young boys and girls. So on science and technology, what defense equipments India has bought recently, with what features, they would give it in your questionnaire in explanation. And what the teachers are doing and thinking, after all, for them also the same Hindu, same Indian Express, same YouTube, same material, and since many of them are 50 plus, they are lazy, they are not as hardworking as these 20 plus, 30 plus teachers. That is also a reality. That is why I said that their questions can be predictable despite the fact that they involve a lot of people from India, across the India, but since it is current based exam, whether economy current based, geography current based, even many parts of history are current based. Like I told you, something is in news and then they ask from history. So anybody who is having a good eyes in the newspaper, in the media, they can take and frame questions from that one, and that was these people are doing. So I hope you would understand that this test would definitely help. The two things you have to do in the next 25 days, revise 3 times. First thing I said, you don't read anything new, any new material, because some of your friend may forward you, ye bhi padh lo, wo bhi padh lo. Some coaching may give you, that is, allurement. But that was very deadly in the last few days. Second, make sure you have at least this much of full length test from 3 different, and my preference is Rajendra Nagar. You have your own choices wherever you get it. Now, this is about next 25 days. Last 24 hours, and that 2 hours, which is the day. And I am leaving CSAT part, that is your other teacher would help. Few do's and don'ts, because I have seen many students, they did some foolish thing because of which they failed in the prelims. The candidate was good because previous year he passed or she passed, this year she failed, not because of lack of knowledge, but because she did not sleep whole night and gone, पक्का gone. कुछ एक fear होता है ना एग्जाम का, आज तो रात भर जागेंगे, जैसे शादी में लोग जाग जाते हैं, तो ठीक है शादी में जाग गए, फेस्टिवल में भी जाग जाते हैं, उसमें भी ठीक है, एग्जाम में जागना सबसे बड़ा बेवकूफ़ी है. And especially you would feel this more in second paper, post noon. You get my point? You would definitely feel doziness, and that paper is all about alertness, IQ. So fresh mind and sound sleep are very interconnected. You all know it, I know it. But I am just reminding you because out of anxiety, some people study till 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Our formula is, and I am telling you from my students who are clearing prelims with great confidence, 250, out of which 100 are passing every year. And this year also I am sure 100 plus, and you can check it from Srikanth Sir, or you can get it in the media also, right? So, what they do, many of our students, because we told right from the beginning, कि अब पढ़ाई खत्म, stop your reading. And you know, when 24 hours before exam, don't read anything, watch cinema. Right? You may be wondering, ये क्या बात हुई, इतना एग्जाम है आप सिनेमा देखने बोल रहे हो. A, what you would read in the last 24 hours would never come. पक्का, वो आएगा ही नहीं. सही है ना? B, if your mind is not fresh, because each question requires alertness and attention, then the heaviness and drowsiness would impact. Even like in cricket, if your confidence is low, you cannot play even full toss delivery. And if your confidence is high, you can play Yorker delivery. Exactly here, that is about the confidence. I hope you understood. Third thing, on that day, exam day, never take heavy meal. Okay? Take lightest possible, best is fruits and juice. Okay? Now you must be wondering कि मैं हिस्ट्री का टीचर हूँ या मेडिकल साइंस का, राइट? But since our target is actually to make sure a student he came in the campus, जब बाहर जाए तो वो IAS, IPS, PCS कुछ तो बन के जाए. और वो सिर्फ ऐसे नहीं होता है. It's overall things like somebody fallen sick, God forbid, gone on that day. Like in Delhi, there is a heat, May, huge. And I know many students, because of the heat, they could not perform. It's very natural, like Kashmiri boy came all the way from extreme cold, never lived outside Kashmir in the life, and now suddenly in the April and May, he or she failed. Oh my God, I know many candidates who left Delhi in the month of April, wrote prelims from Valley, came in the main in September to write it again. I know many students from Tamil Nadu and deep south, when they come in December, they were never prepared for extreme cold, -1, 2, 5, 7, whole day maximum was 12 degree and minimum was 4. And they were never actually accustomed, okay, you can survive, but the point is with this temperature, can you study 12 hours? That was the more challenging part, but those who are accustomed, they are easily, like for us, it hardly matters whether it is 2 degree or right now 47 degree. So between 2 to 47 degree, we have no problem. But those who are from Kashmir and south, they have a problem in places like north. So what is the suggestion? That make sure you are physically and mentally fit on that day, 24 hours. Never do any silly thing. Don't eat golgappes. Okay, that is also very dangerous, that what food you are taking, it's a huge risk. Taking ice cream, golgappe, it is like a big singer performing on the stage, and 24 hours, just watch it, what they eat. They never take any such foolish food. Whether I read interviews of Lata Mangeshkar to Asha Bhosle to great Ghulam Ali, and they were very disciplined in their food and drink because they have to live perform on the stage. You don't have to perform, but sore throat or any problem in your body, because that 4 hours, make sure are you fully physically and mentally alert or not, is going to make a huge difference in your performance. So why to take this kind of risk, etc., right? I hope you understood it and don't take it as just like a casual thing. Now, come to paper. I'm talking GS. Now, not only history. 2 hours. You have 1 to 100. You got section C or any section. And the first question is related to ancient philosophy. Happens or not? And the first 2-3 questions always raises your anxiety level very high. It's a very human nature. So one tip is this, just have a glance of 100. See your strong area. Suppose your strong area is polity. See where it is. Polity is 47 to 67. So I would suggest start with the polity. You're getting my point? This is not like you have to do that. Unlike in health, you have to do that. It is one of the suggestions. Many students have done it. Reason is that confidence. If you have done 7 correct out of 10, your confidence is very high. And now you come to serial wise 1 to 100. Okay, because don't do it on every part of your GS. Only where I said you have the strongest strength part of your subject in which you're very confident. Suppose you're very confident on environment. Some students are very confident, they know that out of 12 I can do it 11. Out of 10. They're so good, I know that. So why not you start from that? Because they would generally give in sequence. All the questions related to environment in sequence, all the questions related to polity in sequence. Only in sub questions the sequence may change. So why don't you do that? That area where you have the strongest, you start with that. And then you come to the 1 to 100 format. Okay? So this is just to raise your confidence level. Another important suggestions we give is this, that read questions at least twice and find out in the question some keywords. Because in the questions, one is English and one is the keyword. The sentences would be long, but these sentences is of a language. But from the subject, what is the keyword? And try to decode keyword without looking options. Then something would come in your mind. And most likely, in psychology, it is said, your first thought comes which is in your subconscious mind. Long back you studied, long back you heard. So if it is striking in first instance, and that first thought is here, most likely answer is this. Not always. If you don't know the correct answer, because the first thought came to this one. I hope you're getting, like, just giving an example. Give me blood, I will give you freedom. First thought came, Subhash Chandra Bose. Do or die. First thought came, Mahatma Gandhi. I know that you all would do that. Now see the next question. Shiv is Jiv, Jiv is Shiv. Yeah? Lord. How a Lord English would believe in Shiv? I don't know. How Lord Linlithgow or any English governor general would believe in Shiv. Shiv, you know that. अपना इंडिया वाला शिव. इंग्लैंड में शिव नहीं होता है. होता है क्या? फिर अब ये जो पढ़ा, I'm just giving an example. So if a thought is not coming to your mind after reading this, it means this never came across to you. कभी सुना ही नहीं आप. Am I right or wrong? You never heard it. That is why no name is coming. The moment I said give me blood, you got Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, okay, एक और अभी देता हूँ. Inqilab, Zindabad. So some thoughts are coming. Which thought? Bhagat Singh coming, but he is not the correct answer, right? The correct answer is, no, he is an Urdu poet. His name is Hasrat Mohani. But the point is that how to handle that such kind of question I will tell later. No thought is coming. Now I am giving you options. And how would you come to the right conclusion? You heard these names? Yes. Very popular names. Rabindranath Tagore, right? All are Indian, okay, not English. Now, you don't know. What you would do? Can you eliminate at least one? कि नहीं इसका तो नहीं हो सकता. On what basis? So Tagore was atheist. Gitanjali he wrote. You know Gitanjali, what is that? Offerings to gods and goddesses. That is Geet and Anjali, right? So, yeah. So whatever your logic, suppose you removed Rabindranath Tagore, you are sure कि नहीं इनका तो नहीं होगा. Okay, any other name you can remove? On what basis? No, because अरे विवेकानंद को तो इतना जानते हैं, अगर ये कहा होता तो पक्का जानते. You get my point or not? That's the logic. I heard so many things about Vivekanand. Had it been said by Vivekanand, I would have known it. किसी ना किसी ने WhatsApp पे भेज दिया होता अब तक कि ये लाइन विवेकानंद का है. Am I right or wrong? होता नहीं होता. तो दो मैंने exclude कर दिया. I excluded two. that these are not. So now, am I going to take risk or not? Shall I attempt this question or not? Yes? And if goes wrong, then 1/3 deducted. So I would suggest you must take risk. Okay? This we call smart, calculated or intelligent risk. Okay? So, whatever logic you apply, whether Dayanand or Ramakrishna Paramahansa, my point is this, that suppose you have 20 such questions in which you could eliminate 2, but you don't know which 2 is now the answer. So what is the probability in statistics of your going correct? 50%. When you throw coin in the air, head and tail, what is the probability? You said head, what is the probability? 50%. If 10 times it goes head, now 11 times I am tossing, what is the probability head or tail? Is still 50% according to statistics rule. Are you getting now? So, I'm just giving you one interesting calculations. 10 right, 10 wrong. That is first possibility. How much you got net? How much you got net? Tell me. 20 minus 6.5, 20, 13.5 something, suppose net. Now suppose that day was my best day. It was my day, right? So 13 right, 7 wrong. 14 minus 1/3, how much? 4.5 minus 26, 21. This is when that was my day. But I will think from another point. Bad day, worst day. बहुत बुरा दिन है आज. Okay? So let's think from rock bottom. As it said कि सबसे बुरा क्या होगा? इस एग्जाम में सबसे बुरा क्या होता है? सिलेक्शन नहीं होना. और क्या होता है? इससे ज़्यादा बुरा क्या होगा? So those people who think कि सबसे बुरा क्या होगा? सिलेक्शन नहीं होगा. He is more confident. You know that or not? You know, those who are doing suicide bombing anywhere in the world, LTT, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, on what basis they think? अरे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या होगा? मार दोगे? I am ready to die. When such person is ready to die, he is very dangerous. You are getting now? He is free from any fear. So, when you are ready for this, you are not having any fear. So, believe like this कि बुरा से बुरा क्या होगा कि मेरा 7 सही 13 गलत होगा. See what would happen. 13 into 26 minus 1/3 8.5 minus 14 8.5 कितने हुए? 5.5 or 4 point something. 5.5 something. If I get the worst situation, still I am richer 5 point marks than others, and this would take me in. I hope you understood it. So this is the calculation you should make, because it is GNP which matters than GDP. You understand this or not? Many students I have seen have done this trick and they are sure success from 95 to 100, 92. Like one my student got 105.5 4 years back. The cutoff was 105 that year for GS candidate. Next year, of course, he got final selected. So I told him कि तुम्हें एक ही काम करना था उस दिन, and what was that? You should not have attempted one wrong answer, and you could have been in. But the point is that where to stop is not so easy. So another important guideline is this. Last 5 years, find out in your category what was the cutoff marks. Last 5 years. Suppose in general candidate, Last 5 years average was 95. It means if somebody is getting 100 for sure, with 90 questions attempt, plus minus, he calculated this may go wrong, and he showed that he is getting 100. So this 10 question he should not attempt. Now he is in safest zone. Same logic you apply to if you are in reserve category. If your cutoff mark was 90 and you are getting 95, your cutoff 85, you are getting 90, and with this 90 question, with this 85 question, stop. But if you are not getting, then many students, they attempted only 70 and did not attempt 30. Attempted 75, did not attempt 35. They are actually out of the race right from the day one. So that means in this choice, there is a minimum number which you must attempt. And what is that minimum number? By and large, when I inquired so many students who have passed this exam and also those who have failed, minimum they say 85, maximum they say 93. I'm talking again general candidate. You must attempt. Because if you're attempting less than, because suppose somebody attempted 75 thinking that my accuracy rate would be higher, so in any case I would qualify, but the problem is that the questions in which they have designed the language, that even a question which looks very simple may not be simple. I hope you're getting my point. So the questions on which you had relied heavily, that may go wrong. So your overall marks would be less. So why not you increase this so that your chances of getting at least to nearby cutoff marks is increased. But when you have not attempted, you're not in the race in the very first day itself. So make sure that minimum this, some students attempt all. But generally it is those students who do not apply the mind that देखते हैं. We'll tell. Don't worry. Okay. So I hope you got whatever the points I wanted to tell. You have some questions? नहीं ठीक है. नहीं इसका होगा. इसका काम. You can take. Yeah. Questions related to prelims? Yeah, please.
Sir, it's regarding history. Sir, I have read generally from Tamil Nadu. However,
Tamil Nadu NCRT? How can it be Tamil Nadu NCRT? NCRT is only published from central government. You can say Tamil Nadu board. And that's why I'm surprised. Yeah.
So, whenever I see questions from Buddhism or Jainism, every time it is different. It's a shocker to me whenever I go see it. So, do you present any comment?
That's what I said. For 3 religions, in fact 4 chapters of this book can help you to crack 3 to 4 questions if from ancient India, and the name of the book is Wonder That Was India. Don't read the entire book. You don't have time, you don't have to read it. By A.L. Basha. The chapter on religion, the chapter on literature, the chapter on society, and the chapter on culture. in ancient time. Put together, it may be around 50-60 pages, but if I am getting 4 questions correctly with the help of 50 pages, it means that I may defeat thousands of students. You get my point? Because this is something like in the last 25 days, what should I do to improve my chance? Like I told you that if I am preparing Mahatma Gandhi from South Africa days to Champaran to 1948, and from Gandhian point of view entire freedom struggle, then at least 2-3 questions I would get it from this area. 4 plus 2, right? Suppose terminologies of ancient and medieval, and I read it 150 terms, 1 or 2 questions. Suppose personality, you remember this? 100 personalities A to Z of freedom struggle only, modern India only, not ancient medieval. And with the personality I told you, you would get events, with the events you get personality. So these are some smart ways. For instance, one smart way is all the taxes of ancient, medieval and modern India, read it in one go. Bali, Bhag, Udrang, you heard Kharaj, Chauth, Sardeshmukhi, Jazia, and they have asked questions on each of these several times. They have asked questions on Kharaj just 2 or 3 years back. What was Kharaj? It was revenue, land revenue in the medieval time. But the question was, it was on production or it was on land, or it was both. So then it becomes very difficult whether it was both or it was only on land. Like all administrative terms of ancient and medieval time, all scientific terms of ancient and medieval time, all religious and philosophical terms of ancient and medieval time. What is nirvan? What is parinirvan? What is nirjara? You heard this in Jainism and Buddhism. Now in Bhakti movement, what is prasad? You're getting my point? You have taken so many times. It's simply blessings of God. But when we think prasad, we think Agarwal sweet laddu. Are you getting now? So they will give you 4 options. They ask a question in Sufi thought, and the question was this: Tarke Dunya. What is this Tarke Dunya? The question, suppose there is a term called fana. What is fana? What Amir Khan went for Kajol, that was fana. Annihilation of oneself in love of God is called fana. So these terms you would get in Sufism, Bhakti movement, Jainism, Buddhism. Like you heard Vajrayan. Who were they? A sect of Buddhism, close to Tantricism of Hinduism. But Tantricism is a subset of which of the two? Shaivism or Vaishnavism? You're getting my point? So it is Shaivism. This is how they ask questions like this on these terms. So what would happen? That instead of going in a traditional way, in the last 25-30 days, you can go in a smart way. Like I told, in modern India, read all the acts together. Okay, in one go. And all some of the commissions and committees, recommendation, etc. Woods Dispatch. They ask questions on Woods Dispatch 2 years or 3 years back. Like Radcliffe, you heard his name? So the Boundary Commission Award. You heard White Commission, you have Lee Commission, you have a lot of, Nehru Committee report, you have round table conferences, you have Jinnah's demand. So these are various commissions and committees and their reports. So in a very smart way, all you have to do is devote 2-3 days out of your 25 days for history and culture. Similar 2 and 3 days for your polity and governance, for your economy, but those 2-3 days should be very intense. That I am only doing these things, not any other thing in the same day. Last 1 week or 10 days, last 7 to 10 days, I would suggest again revise. You remember 3 times from here till last, you revise your own notes again, and last 7 to 10 days, do not attempt any test series. So by 25th of May, or at the best 27th of May, you should stop test series writing. There is a psychology also. On 3rd of June, you appeared in a test and you got a very poor marks. That would impact on 5th of June. So whether it is mock or whether it is prelims test, make sure there is a gap of 1 week. Is that clear? Of this one, test and this. So these are some strategies. Last moment strategy. Yes, any other question? You have? Yeah. Sorry?
Who said that statement?
Okay, that statement was of Ramakrishna Paramhans. Jeev is Shiv and Shiv is Jeev. Okay, and Guru of Vivekananda. In fact, in classes also we tell. In your class, I must have told. You remember that? No? I told. It is in your notebook. I am sure. Yes, tell me any other question? Yeah.
What is that?
Sorry? Okay, the book name is Wonder That Was India. I wrote in such a manner that it itself became a wonder. Are you getting it? Okay. Yeah, tell me any other question you have. So, you all are ready? Very good. And you know, one very good mantra I learned from my seniors and various people, that you must enjoy this exam rather than take it as a burden. So when I see serious face, grim face, then I feel he would do 2 marks less, 4 marks less. And when I see very cheerful mind, cheerful face, I know that he or she would do 4 or 5 marks extra. This is very important, because as I told, that remove the fear from your mind. What is the fear? Tell me. Believe me, only 5 days back, one of my students came. She's a doctor. Wrote main last year. Yeah. This year she failed in prelims. 21. And she said that, sir, I am very anxious. And it took more than 1 hour for me. Finally, when she went, she was laughing. When she came, very dead serious, and I was concerned that, my God, like something bad happened. So, what she said, that when she failed first time in prelims, she was very anxious. That is why she failed. Last year, she was very happy. This is she told me. In our campus, because in our orientation, we give some Baba Ramdev type dossiers, right? Enjoy the life, happy, etc., etc. And she said, we gave all of us very happily, and I passed and wrote main. But now, since last 15 days, I have a fear again of failure, and that is making me anxious. So, various angle I give it. One angle is, remember God. Yes? Do prarthana, prayers. Then she said, sir, I'm an atheist. My God. मेरे लिए मुश्किल था ना. So I started perhaps on a wrong side, because generally in India most people are religious, Muslims or Hindu, and she said her father and mother are purely Brahmin and religious, but she see religion as something very orthodox, etc. So I started first trying to convince through religion point of view. No, God exists, soul exists. Okay, you tell you're a doctor and suddenly patient die. So you are also surprised how she died. Yes, sir. So there must be some soul? No, sir. So the point is that, and you know, we started arguing on religion, and after half an hour I found she was very conversationalist, and on various issues we didn't agree, and on various issues we agreed. So I said, with this mood you go and take it boldly and you would not fail, because a student who has already crossed 100 in GS last year, right? How would she fail again except anxieties? So this is what I said, that cheerfulness, happiness is very important, and you would get 4 or 5 marks extra on that day. The moment you are taking some anxieties, then some of the questions is that language would be such that you would get confused. Because you know, out of 100 questions there are 20 plus minds. So what happens, not only subject differs, English language also differs. You won't get uniformity in English language in the GS paper. So a teacher who wanted to say something, you understood something else. That is why you should read 2 times, 3 times, what exactly, and underline keywords. Okay, this is the keyword, this is the question, and then see the option. But before looking option, think in your mind what is the option. Like I told, give me blood and this. But of course, there are certain options, questions. You can't think unless you read which of the following statements are true. So you have to read all 4 first before you come to the conclusion this is true or false, right? I hope you're getting. So make sure that you all watch movie 1 day before, or good Netflix series, or some songs. Like to that girl I told, some poetry, some ghazal you must listen, and she agreed to read some of those poetries and some songs, etc. That is very important in the last 25 days, right? Any other questions? Yes? So I hope you all are in physical and mental good health. Cheer up, and wish to see you in mock interviews. That is where I love to see, ये तो वही लड़का था जो उधर बैठा था, ये तो वही लड़की थी जो वहाँ बैठी थी. That's good sign. Okay, I met 2 years back. A lot of Telugu babus and Telugu girls I interviewed in the last 1.5 months in Rajendra Nagar. And it was very pleasant to see that, okay, we met somewhere here 2 years back, 3 years back. And 2-3 are doctors, Telugu, right now from here. And we asked a lot of questions on Andhra, Telangana, and I came to know many things thanks to the student as well as the teacher who were teaching, because some of those IAS were from Andhra cadre, some Telangana cadre. So that is a good scene. But right now, I think my job is over. You got some help? Was it useful? So please give me good feedback out of 10. Don't do that. No, this is our customer care people are doing. When we go to car manufacturer, please give me sir 10. I said, मैं 5 ही दूंगा तुम्हें. तुमने 5 दिन लेट से दिया था. All the cab wala are saying, sir, please give 5 stars. Swiggy wala saying, sir, please give 10 stars. I would not say, don't worry, right? All I would say that please, all the teachers who came yesterday and today, and each subject they have dealt, just introspect, reflect, and make a strategy, last moment strategy, right? And do it with more freedom of thought rather than tensions. And one last thing, do talk with your friends and those who are writing this exam, whether here or anywhere in India. So some of the tips can help you, at least 1 question or 2 questions extra. Okay? So wish you all the best and do well. May God bless you all for this exam as well as in life. Okay? Bye-bye. Thank you.